Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Mrs. G. In this video, we are going to be looking at 4 and 6 figure grid reference. We are going to differentiate between 4 and 6 figure grid reference. We're going to locate places using 4 figure grid reference, and then we are going to locate places using 6 figure grid reference. Let's get to it. So this is how the 4 and 6 figure grid reference works. Remember that this information along with more detail is available on the blog that is at natkeneducationalservices.blogspot.com. Alright, so it's a grid of squares that helps the map reader to locate a place. They can pinpoint a particular location within a square. And these lines, these grid lines, which I'm going to show you shortly, they make up the square and each one would have a number. They are called easting lines and they are called northing lines. So let's have a look at them. Easting lines first. So this is how it would look on a map. You would have vertical lines like the blue ones here, and then you would have horizontal lines which would form a grid. So the horizontal ones would be called northings, but the vertical ones, which we are currently looking at, would be our easting lines. So these easting lines, they are vertical lines that run from the top of the map to the bottom of the map. They get their name because of the direction that the numbers increase in. For example, we're seeing 20 here, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. So these numbers are increasing in an easterly direction. As a result of that, they are called easting lines. Similarly, we have our northing lines. The northing lines, the numbers increase in a northerly direction. These lines, though, they are horizontal lines, so they will run from one side to the next side on the map. If you notice here as well, we have 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41. These numbers, they increase in a northern direction. That is why they have the name of northings. Now, how exactly does that work when we are doing 4 or 6 figure grid reference? And how exactly would you do that on a map? For that question, here is your answer. This question asks us to find the 4 figure grid reference of Lake Cedric. So the first thing that you're going to do, which is your step 1, you would find the grid where Lake Cedric is located. So from looking at the map here, we can see that Lake Cedric is right here within this yellow box. Since we have identified Lake Cedric, we can look at our northing lines and our easting lines just to be sure of what we're doing. So these lines that increase towards the east, these would have been our easting lines going this way. And the numbers that increase towards the north, these would have been our northing lines. So those are the 2 sets of numbers that we are going to use to give a grid reference number for the location of Lake Cedric. That takes us here. So how exactly do we read these grids? These are our easting lines, which we're already aware of, and these ones would have been our northing lines. In order to read the grid, we are going to use the letter L. Exactly how you would have written the capital letter L, you would go this way and then you go that way. So you would do that and that. So this one would have been your easting line, which is running from north to south, for example here. And then your northing line, which is going from west to east. So it would create a capital letter L. This is what we would do on a map. So since we're doing the capital letter L and we're doing the line that is vertical first, which is our easting line, it shows us that we should always read our easting lines first. So here is Lake Cedric. We would do our easting line first, which is this one. So we're seeing the easting line that is close to Lake Cedric here. It would have been 21. So this is our easting line. And then our northing line, which we would read after, would have been the one that is right at Lake Cedric as well, which is this one here going all the way across, and we can see that that number is 39. So since we're reading our easting line first, which we have as 21, our first thing would be to write down 21. And the northing line, which is 39, we would write it down as 39. So our 4-figure grid reference for Lake Cedric would have been 2139. Let us look at another example. So the 4-figure grid reference for the information desk is what we need to find. So this is the symbol for the information desk here, and we are seeing the grid that the information desk would have been in. So here's the information desk. We are seeing our easting line here, which is 47, and then coming down, when we are ready to go across, we would see our northing line, which is 33. You may notice that there are two sets of numbers. You have 47 on one end of the easting line, and on the other end you also have 47. So it's simply showing you that it is the one line and it has the same number to represent it. Similarly, for the northing line, we have 33 here, and then we also have 33 at the other end. So again, we would read our easting line first, just like we're doing a capital letter L. So we would come down like this, and for that one, that line is number 47. And for our northing line, which would be going across, that line would have been number 33, and this would have been our 4-figure grid reference for the information desk, which is 4733. If you have any questions, please write your questions in the comment section below, or any comment that you have, and I will be sure to respond. Also, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please ensure that you go ahead and do so for similar content to this one. Alright, so let us complete this exercise to see if we really understand the 4-figure grid reference. We have a map, and we have some questions here, and we can look at our key in order to find out what the symbols on the map mean. The first thing that we're going to look for, the 4-figure grid reference, is the parking. So the parking symbol is here, this one. So here is our parking right in this grid here, and we can see the numbers that are close by to show us exactly the location of our parking. So remember that we do our easting lines first, as if we are writing the capital letter L. So we would go down this way, which is this one. Whatever this line is numbered, that is the first number that we write. So that would be 09. So we would write our 09 for parking, and then going across just the same where we find parking, that one is numbered 41. So our answer for parking would have been 0941. Ensure that you go ahead and complete the public telephone, the windmill, and the public house, and place your answers in the comment section below so that I can see if you're getting them correct. So this brings us to another question. What if a more specific location is needed? What exactly would you do? That is why we have a 6-figure grid reference. So the 4-figure grid reference gives you the grid square that the symbol actually falls in. But if you need a more specific location for that symbol, then that is where you would have used a 6-figure grid reference. So basically you would have been adding 2 other numbers to ensure that you get a more accurate answer. So let us look at how we would do that exactly. Since we had a 4 grid, in order to get the 6 grid, it means that we would need to separate the box or cut up the box into smaller grid squares. But let us understand where the 4-part grid would have been first. So this is the square that we're trying to find the 6-figure grid reference for. But at first, let us understand the 4-figure part of it. So this would have been our general grid here. This line here going down, which would have been 64, and this part going across, which would have been 50. So this is our entire grid that we have. So our 4-figure for this specific symbol would have been 64, 50. That would have been our 4-figure. Now, in an effort to get our 6 figure, we are going to need to divide the box into smaller squares to do that. Here we go. In order to divide the box, we are going to divide it into 9 lines, which would give us 10 spaces. So you notice this was already done for you. So you have 0 to 1 here, which is showing us 1 small grid, 1 to 2 here, 1 small grid. So anything that falls inside this area, that's the number that it would have. So let me go again. 0 to 1 here, anything that falls in here would have been 0. 1 to 2 here, anything that falls inside this grid square would have been 1. Anything falling in here would have been 2. Anything in here would have been 3. Similarly here, 4. Here, 5. Here, 6. Here, 7. Here, 8. And here, 9. We could not have 10 spaces because if you had 10 spaces, you would end up with another number, 10, that you would want to add. So you would end up with a 7-figure grid reference, and there's no such thing. So you start at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until you get to 9. So whatever falls inside these smaller squares that you have now developed, then that is the number that you would have written. So let us go again. So far, we had our 4-figure grid reference, which is 64, and then we had 50. The difference this time in finding the 6-figure grid reference is that, let me just remove that one, is that we would leave a space for each easting and for the northing as well. So we have 64. For our easting, we leave a space because we're going to write down another number. And then we have 50, and we leave a space because we're also going to write down another number. So our job now is to find out what grid square the box or the symbol that we're searching for falls into. So from looking at this one here, remember that we're still using our easting lines first. So our easting line would have been 64. Similarly, all of the lines that are going vertical just the same, all of these are our easting lines, so we will pay attention to those lines first. So we have 64, now we need to find the other part of our easting line. So from going across, we see that we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember that anything that falls inside this grid square would have been 6. So that means anything in here all the way down, it would have been in grid square 6. So that means we would write number 6 here as the other part of our eastings. We would do the same thing for our northings. So we have 50. Remember that our numbers increase in a northerly direction. So from 0 to 1 here that we cut up, everything in this section would have been 0. Here, everything would have been 1. Here, everything in this grid is 2. Everything in this is 3. Everything in this is 4. And then we continue 5, 6, 7, 8, and we would end up with 9 here. Everything in here would have been 9. So just the same, we can see where our box is located that we're trying to find the 6-figure grid reference for. So everything inside this area would have been number 4. So what we would do then, we would write number 4 here, and that gives us 6 figures, 6 numbers. That is 646504. That would have been our 6-figure grid reference for this specific box that we are looking for. Let us try to make this a little clearer so that you understand exactly how to find your 6-figure grid reference. So the number that we're going to be using is this, 216322. That means, let's write it here, 216322. That means these first 3 numbers, these are associated with our eastings, and the second 3, these are associated with our northings. Also, the 21 here and the 32 here, that is what we would have used initially to find our 4-figure grid reference. So, in order to find out wherever it is that this number is pointing to, we would look at the grid here that we are being given, this map here that we're given, and then we find 21, which is this line here. And then we find 32, which is this line here. So that would show us that whatever symbol we want to find, or if it's a symbol that we want to place ourselves, it is within this box. That is where it is. Also, 21/6 means that this 21 here, remember that our numbers for eastings, they increase in an easterly direction. So 21/6, that means we would be going in this direction in order to get to a point of 6. Again, we would start to cut up our box at 0. So let us say we have 0 in this box, 1 in this box, 2 for everything in this box, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are supposed to be equal though. So everything in this area here would have been 6. So our point would fall within this specific area here. That is how we would have ended up with our 6. And for 32 here, remember that the northern lines, they increase in a northerly direction. So in order to find the northern, it means that to get 2, we would need to be going up in this direction. So to do that, we would cut our box this way. So we have 0, we go up 1, everything in here is 2, 3, 4, and we continue until we get to 9. So everything in this area, which is 2 here, would have been whatever we are looking for. It would have been 2. So that means right in this section here would have been the correct placement or the correct location of this specific grid reference number. So again, looking at it, we have the 21 here, and then we are still doing the easting line. So we're going across 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is our other number that we would add here. And then our northern lines, we have our 32, that's 2, 1, 6, 32. And then we are going to the north, 0, 1, 2, just the same. So it is 2, 1, 6, 3, 2, 2. Just the same. Again, if you don't understand or if you have any other questions or need some clarity, please ensure that you write a comment in the comment section below so that it can further be explained to you. Also, there is more detailed explanation on the blog that is at natkeneducationalservices.blogspot.com. Alright, so here's one final attempt at ensuring that you understand. So we are using the same number, same map. Look at our number 216322. Start by working out the basic easting and the northing. So from looking at it here, our basic easting would have been this line going down, which is our 21 here, and our northing would have been our 32. So it is 2, 1, we leave our space, and then 32, and then we leave our space. So the northing would have been the second value that we would write down if we were doing just the 4 figure. Then we are imagining that we are cutting up the square into smaller grids, so that we would have it in tenths. So remember again that for that smaller grid, we would start at 0 and then we would go all the way up to 9. That would have given us our 10 spaces. So we would have 216, which is our easting, and then 21 is the first part of the 4 figure, and then the 6 is the number of lengths along the next grid. So 21, and then the number of lengths until we get along the next grid here. Similarly, for the northings, it's 3, 2, where 32 is the grid that we would use for the 4 figure, and then 2 is the number of tenths along the next grid. So it would be along here, and then we would go up, and our number would show us the one that's going across here. So that is how we would have gotten our final section of the number to create our 6-figure grid reference. Alright, let's look at this final one. So we are looking to find the six-figure grid reference for the church. The grid is in this particular square here, so it is 22, since it is here. That's our first line, and then going across it is 31. So we already have 22, then leaving our space 31. So these would have been our two spaces. Then going across just the same, it is basically 2/10 across. So we would write 2 here, and then going up it is basically 2/10 up as well. So we would write 2 here. So our answer is 222312. Here's another one for you to try. What is the six-figure grid reference for the information desk? So this is our information desk here. We are seeing the grid square that it is in, and you have 3 options to give your answer as your answer. So you are doing the 4-figure grid reference first. You're always doing your easting lines first. So you would look at the line that is going down, that is your easting, and you would look at the line that is going across, that is your northing, so that you are able to find your 4-figure. And then you look at the number of tenths going across and the number of tenths going down as well, so that you can get your 6 figures. Write your answer for this one in the comment section below. The first person that gets this one correct, you will get a shout out in our next video. And this question here is another one for you to try. That is the 6-figure grid reference for the church. The church is pointed at right here, and then you have 3 options to answer your question as well. Again, the first person that gets this one correct will also get a shout out in our next video. Let us complete this exercise. Find the 6-figure grid reference for the parking. So we used these as our 4-figure grid reference earlier in the video, and we are going to use them as our 6-figure grid reference just the same. So we will start off with parking. Parking sign is right here, so it is within this specific grid here. So this line going down is line number 9, and going across it is line number 41. So we would have 09 and then 41. 09, leave our space, and then we have 41. And in order to find the number to fill in for the parking here, remember we're using easting, so it's as if we're cutting up our box this way. So it would be 0, and we would say that it falls into the line for 1. So we would put 1 as our answer here. For 41, where it is the northing, we would be cutting the box to go up towards the north. So that looks like 0 and 1 again. So we would end up with another 1 for our answer. So that would be 091411 for our answer, and that is our 6 figures for the first one. Complete these as well in the comment section below, so that we can ensure that you are understanding and you are getting them correct. In our next video, we are going to be looking at contour lines. Please ensure that you check that out. Thank you for watching. It is always a pleasure to assist you. Please ensure that you share the video, like the video, put in your comments. Follow us on Instagram at Natken Educational Services. Follow us on Facebook at Natken Education. Or ensure that you are on the blog getting more detailed information that you can write down as notes as well. Thank you for watching. It is always a pleasure to assist you.